Whoa, why are we shaking? Slow down, why are we shaking? Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Real Reds Talk. El Ghazi to Manchester United. God, I hope not. God, I hope not. That is not a deal that I want to happen. I'm going to dive into the reports on that coming out from last night and in the morning as well. We're going to discuss Bruno Fernandes and the disrespect he's received from the media, even though he's putting in stellar performances like he was last night. Pellistri is set, or Pellistri, should have called him, is set to get a new contract at Manchester United. Apparently, he has a future now at the club. And Samuel Luckhurst has been talking about the transfer window, summer 2024, and certain targets that we're linked with and areas and blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. So we'll dive into it together. As always, throw some interesting questions in the chat. Let me know your thoughts on these situations as I go through the topics on the table. Leave a like on the video, more importantly, and subscribe to Real Reds Talk if you are new around here. We've already got Charlie Malman saying, if this guy shows up at United, I won't watch until next year. I'm done watching the most unserious club in England. This dude is 50 times worse than Weghorst. That is pretty strong comments. But yeah, it's not all doom and gloom, because the report that came out last night, I think Chris Wheeler reported it, or the Daily Mail, I believe it was. And they were saying basically that we're in for El Ghazi as a free agent to kind of back up if in case Jadon Sancho leaves and goes to another club, back to Dortmund or wherever. And the next bit was basically Laurie Whitwell coming out with The Athletic, basically saying that United aren't interested in El Ghazi after proposal by agents. Pellistri was kept with a view to featuring. And like I said, I'm going to talk about Pellistri because I think that's a very interesting situation that's developing constantly at the moment. They're in talks with a new contract. So we'll talk about Pellistri, but as soon as I saw this last night, I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. You've got to be joking. El Ghazi to Manchester United. It sounds like a map of COD. Like, El Ghazi should not be playing for Manchester United. He should not be, if you're going to tap into the free agent market, I'm sure there's some better ones out there. I don't want to tap into that market, but if we was going to, I'm sure there must be something better. I think they kind of put two and two together. The agent was pushing this one. They kind of thought of the Dutch connection, and it was like, yeah, they came up with El Ghazi. 2 + 5 = 9, apparently. And yeah, El Ghazi, let's go. So, yeah, people are saying this is new on the Instagram. This is what we're doing now. We're going to go live on Instagram sometimes. We're going to go live on TikTok. We're going to do Twitter Spaces. We're going to push the boundaries on absolutely everything. So, yes, I take the point. Even if Jadon Sancho and Anthony pissed off, I don't care. I don't want El Ghazi. You've got enough talented players at the club already in Amad Diallo and Facundo Pellistri. You've got Garnacho there. You've got Marcus Rashford who can play there. You've got Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes who can play out on the wings if need be. I know some people don't like him out on the wings, but regardless, like we don't need a player like that. You don't need to just draft someone in. So, like Laurie Whitwell said, basically it's a load of crap and it's agent driven. So let's just put that to the side. El Ghazi to Manchester United. No. Never happen. Which I'm sure a lot of people are grateful for. Let's move on. I don't want to spend all night talking about El Ghazi. Bruno Fernandes, I don't know if many of you guys saw his performance last night in the international game against Luxembourg. I think they won 9-0. Bruno Fernandes got 3 assists and 1 goal. Come under a little bit of criticism recently there from the media, and including myself, to be honest. I think at the start of the season, I don't think Bruno's had the best starts. In the Wolves game, wasn't great. Spurs game wasn't great. Forest game, I think, was that the game when he was decent. And then the Arsenal game, yeah, it was all right. But then in big away performances, I think he lacks a bit of, I don't know what it is. I don't know if he bottles it a little bit, or not like he bottles it, because he always tries and he always covers distance. And I don't have a problem with that. But I don't know what it is. I don't know if he gets over passionate and just doesn't perform to his full standard, but it just doesn't seem to do it in the big away games. And I want to see a huge performance, even in finals. We talk about the FA Cup final or Europa League final, or it just hasn't really shown up. So that side of the criticism I get. But when it comes to output and statistics, you can't even argue with it. He's created the most chances in the league since he's joined. This year, so far this season, I think he's created 14 chances, which is like second behind Matoma and Gross, I think it is, for Brighton, which is interesting because we actually play Brighton next. In total for Manchester United, he's got 65 goals and 55 assists in 189 games. And when you compare his metrics to some of the best in that position, you think about your David Silvas, Ozils, even wingers like Hazard. I think it's interesting. So David Silva had 77 goals and 140 assists in 436 games for City. Hazard had 90 goals and 90 assists in 352 games. And Ozil had 75 goals and 160 assists in 409 games. So when you put it into context, them numbers for Bruno Fernandes are not actually that, like, they're really, really good, really decent, especially in some of the teams that he's been in have been abysmal. That first season when he came in, I think it was the 20 to 21 season when he got 18 goals and 12 assists, was just unbelievable and absolutely carried us on his back. So he deserves more respect. People, more so away fans and people, Liverpool fans, City fans, whoever, want to have a go at him and want to push the agenda on Bruno because he has this attitude that he cares about the club. And sometimes that attitude can get in the way. I remember big performances where he's like the Arsenal game, he spent more time kind of on the floor moaning about fouls that wasn't even really fouls. And it's kind of like, Bruno, mate, we just need you to get up and get on with your business and conduct the team, pull the team together and get through it. And let's try win this game rather than him complaining about stuff all the time. It just gets irritating, doesn't it? So we don't really need that. In that respect. And I think it's fair to say he's always had one of the best creative outputs, but never had a number 9 to feed. He's never had a number 9 to feed. Like, since he's come in, he's played with, and this is just literally going off the top of my head now, and put your strikers in if you can remember anyone else. But off the top of my head, he's played with Martial, do we need to say anything about Martial? We know the script with that. Cavani, 35, when he played and was on it, fantastic. Bruno assists, Southampton games, many other games where he's assisted him. That chip as well, which I don't even know if Bruno got a touch on that. But yeah, like when he played was fantastic, but he was injured a lot. Ighalo, don't even chat to me about Ighalo. Cristiano Ronaldo, the first season, fantastic. But again, them two don't really play well together. They had the odd game. I think it was the Young Boys game in the Champions League, if I remember right. And that's good for me because my memory is shocking. The Young Boys game, I think it was, where outside of the foot cross, I mean, again, someone can remind me in the chat, Bruno did for Ronaldo, and there was situations like that, but in totality, I think both of them together didn't really work. So we didn't have a striker to feed there in that sense. Ronaldo would always drop. He didn't have the pace to get back into the box. Any other striker who he's played with, who can think of? Rashford, sometimes when he's a 9, he's fed him, when we're playing on the counter attack. But in general, I don't think he's had a proper number 9 bagsman in front of him who would complement his metrics, because the stats that he's putting out, the creative chances, 14 creative chances, and only one of our attackers have scored once. So that tells you something's wrong in the attacking department, not in the assist department. So maybe with Rasmus Højlund coming in now, Weghorst as well. I didn't mention Weghorst. About Weghorst, yeah, he's had to play with Weghorst for 6 months. And you can't even feed him because it's just like, it's like feeding, I don't know. It's like feeding me salad. It just doesn't work. Like, you give it to him, it bounces straight back off him. It's just, there was no kind of connection there between them two. So you're talking there. I don't know if did he ever play with Lukaku? I don't think he did he? Don't think he did play with Lukaku. No. Martial, Ronaldo, Cavani, Weghorst, Ighalo. Off the top of my head. Is anyone else that I'm missing? I think there is. So I think this relationship with Rasmus Højlund could really, really blossom. You can run in behind, he can play to feet, he can run the channels. I think that's going to be really, really exciting for Bruno Fernandes, and to have that young striker who can develop with him now. Really, really interesting. But let's see what people are saying in the comments, because it's not just about me, this show, it's about you guys as well. Stan Everton said Sky already come out and said it's not true. This is just another Arnautovic all over again. Probably not spelled his name right. I don't worry about it. My spelling's not great either. Tyrell Chi on the Instagram is saying, should Pellistri come in? Absolutely. 100%. 100%. Who else are you going to play there? Sancho was having a tiff with Ten Hag. Anthony's got that ongoing situation. So I don't know who else you would play there. I would play him there. What I think is going to happen is Ten Hag's going to play Garnacho on the left and Rashford on the right, or vice versa, the other way around. Garnacho on the right would be interesting. I know he's a left winger, but have we seen him on the right before? Was he there in spells against Arsenal? I don't know. I'm not sure, but I think that would be really, really interesting. I think that's what Ten Hag will go with. But we'll discuss that on the Brighton preview on Friday with all the lads. So I think that'd be a weird one, won't it? I've never seen him start. Literally never seen him, says. On the right, do you mean Garnacho? I thought you said Pellistri then. Brian saying, all right, Nick, big up to Brian. Say, thankfully, this rumour came and went like a fart in the wind. Great analogy there. Dan Harrington says, I like Bruno, but 9 out of 10 in the big games he goes missing. Absolutely agree with you there, Dan. Brian saying, I think Bruno always gives everything in every game. I reckon it's the players around him not performing makes him throw his arms and give out. Then the focus goes on him. Don't get me wrong, he's a great player and the team would be a lot worse without him. Just in big games, he does go missing. Agree. Have to agree. That's not even like, I don't even think that's an opinion. That is fact. If you've watched Bruno Fernandes in big games, you will know he does go missing at times. He does. It is. And the frustrating thing is, when you watch Kevin De Bruyne, who obviously City player, frustrating, but still one of the best players on the planet, you have to call a spade a spade. When you watch Kevin De Bruyne for City, in the big games, he turns up. Watch him against Bayern Munich in the Champions League. Watch him against Real Madrid, the goal that he scored against them. Watch him against Arsenal in both fixtures, home and away last season. He turned up. That's what big players do. So for Bruno Fernandes to get into that next echelon where he can hardly have any criticism, the attitude issues need to draw it in a little bit. And then the big games, you need that consistency as well. Vincent keeps calling me Sam. Vincent, you're a legend, but I'm Nick. Sam is on holiday at the minute. Sam is not here. So I'm Nick. Sam is taller one. Yeah. That's so just so you don't get mixed up. But for Portugal, he doesn't have a number 9. He's great for them. Only recently they've started playing Gonçalo Ramos. Well, look, they won 9-0 yesterday. Another thing as well, you don't want to take it out of context, international games, because it is Luxembourg. Do you know what I mean? When Harry Maguire puts in a good performance against Armenia and puts his fingers in his ears and does a knee slide, everyone says, it's only Armenia. Why are you celebrating international football? It's shit, however, blah, blah, blah. So, again, you have to have the same thing. It's Luxembourg. They beat him 9-0. 9-0. They didn't beat him 9-0. 9-0, and he was on the right wing. But the crosses that he was getting into the box, people say they don't like Bruno Fernandes on the right-hand side, right? But that's one thing he does do. Look at the crosses he's put in. He can do that little shimmy, little dummy, hold off, let the runner overlap or underlap, give the space, and then put the ball into the box outside the foot or crosses in. And I think Højlund will really, really love that. And that's why I think Pellistri or Bruno should play on the right when we play Brighton on Saturday. But that's going to be a very, very tough game as it is. But I just think Bruno Fernandes deserves more respect as a player. But there is still criticisms there, of course. Last bit of coffee done. Whilst we're on the topic of the right-hand side, Pellistri. Let's talk about Pellistri. So, Fabrizio Romano says, understand Manchester United now consider Facundo Pellistri's new deal one of the priorities, as talks already took place in April. And during the summer, Pellistri under contract until June 2025. Talks over new long-term deal are set to advance soon. He will play Ecuador in a World Cup qualifier today, because obviously he plays ridiculously a lot for, well, not ridiculously, but he plays a lot for Uruguay. So they clearly have faith in him. But he's only managed to get little cameos for Manchester United. But this is positive, because it actually seems like he has a long-term future at the club. I'm excited to see him develop. I mentioned in the members video that I did on Sunday that he actually has a lot of qualities that a lot of our wingers don't. And when you look at Garnacho, Sancho, not necessarily Sancho, Garnacho, Rashford, Antony, they are very selfish. And their first thought when they get into a final third area is to get a shot off. Pellistri is completely different. Pellistri is unselfish. He'll beat a man. He's got electric pace. He works hard off the ball as well. So you're not going to lose out on the qualities that Antony has. Let's say, for example, his positional sense and hard work rate. So he definitely deserves a chance. You know, the games he got against Real Betis in the Europa League, he was really, really good. The cameo we got against, I think, came on against Charlton in the Carabao Cup or FA Cup. He was decent. Against Fulham, when he came on, he looked good. And most United fans who were spoken to, or most lads who've been on the channel, have all said, I don't get why he hasn't got more minutes. It hasn't made sense. There's no reason for it. Like, I don't know if Ten Hag's been asked about it, and he said he's just like, he's working hard in training, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's strange. It's a strange one. Why Pellistri hasn't got more minutes. So, I don't know. I wonder what happens when Amad comes back as well, because I think if Amad Diallo was available now on that right-handed side, I think he would maybe get ahead of him. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a fan of Amad. I just think that kind of inverted winger, left-footed, Amad works hard as well, has had better performances. You know, when you look at Pellistri when he went to Alaves, I think it was on loan, didn't really pull up any trees, didn't have any goals or assists. Ahmad was at Sunderland and was probably their player of the season and nearly got promotion with him as well. So Ahmad's been doing better away from here. If whether he's regarded as more talented or not, I don't know. But both of them have really high ceilings. I think if Ahmad was available now and he wasn't injured out for 4 months, I think he would probably get the call over him. But that's just my personal opinion. Hopefully the captain's armband will change that. I'll hope so. It can go one way or the other in it. It can be either like be really, really passionate or over passionate in that sense. Shah Sam saying Mount 10, Bruno right wing is more likely lineup. I don't know if Mason Mount is back for the Brighton game though. That's the only thing. I don't think he's available for that. He'll be available for Bayern Munich. So in terms of selection, Bruno's going to be in the 10. Maybe Amrabat will get a surprise start, but I reckon, I don't know, you just know what Ten Hag's like rotation-wise. Is one thing he got criticised for. Ajax won it, that he didn't rotate his players enough. He always wanted to play his best starting 11. So I think the lineup on for the Brighton game is going to be really, really interesting. Vincent Bullock says, I couldn't stop laughing earlier when I was watching the pub, Sky Sports News. Totally a liar. He knew he was typing. I don't know who you're on about. Paul Pogba on Sky Sports. I know I couldn't stop laughing. We all know he's been doping. You can tell he's lying through his teeth. Okay. All right. Well, there's Vince's comments on Pogba. Dan Errington, is Mainu back the weekend? He should be. He should be, yeah. I don't think he'll be starting, obviously, but I think he should be on the bench for the Brighton game. Equally with a few others as well who are coming back from injury. And that's a nice thing to have in it. I want to see the players that we've actually signed and players play together. Do you know what I mean? I want to see Højlund, Rashford, Antoinette, Amrabat, Casemiro, Bruno, Shaw, Varane, Lissandro, Wan-Bissaka and Onana all in the same team together playing a number of games consistently. Just to see what we can get out of it, just to see the performance levels. I don't think we'll see that until December, unfortunately. A bit shit in it in that regard. So it is what it is, yeah. It is what it is. Right, next summer then. Samuel Luckhurst put out a tweet before Manchester United have provisionally targeted 4 significant signings next summer. United intend to strengthen at fullback, centre-back, central midfield, and in attack. Straight off the bat, I wish Samuel Luckhurst would shut up about these briefs. This summer window was shit. But don't worry about it because we'll fix it all next summer. These are the targets that we've got. Forget about the targets that we were scrambling about for recently. Just focus on this now. This is Samuel Luckhurst putting out this. It's the same thing every single window for 10 years. Every single window has done this for 10 years. If we are to take the targets, though, like let's just take it as it is and let's have a look. Fullback, centre-back, central midfield, in attack. Who do you go get? 4 players. Targets for the transfer window summer 2024. Who would you go and get? Let me know. Because I'm looking at fullback. I'm thinking it's probably going to be Frimpong because that's the name that's in constant rotation. Ten Hag really likes Frimpong. For whatever reason, even though Wan-Bissaka is doing relatively well, even though Dalot looks decent as well at left back against Saka, he just seems to want a right back. He wants a certain style of right back, and Jeremy Frimpong seems to fit that bill. So I would suggest Frimpong is the option for that. Centre-back, obviously this year we got linked with Pavard, Todibo, Top Saba, and there was another one as well, but that was kind of budget-friendly, wasn't it? Because it was basically being relied if Harry Maguire went out on sale, then we'd bring in one of those. So centre-back, I'm not sure. We got linked with Disasi, obviously, but he's gone to Chelsea. There's Diamonde, I think his name is, who's a young centre-back, can play in that kind of right channel who looks decent. So, look, in a year's time, a lot of things can happen in football. Someone can come to light. I know there's a centre-back in Portugal called Yao. What's his second name? I can't remember. Plays for Benfica. Centre-back Portuguese. Someone in the chat will know one about. But apparently we're looking at him now as well. Central midfield is an interesting one. Maybe that would be a long-term Casemiro replacement like a Paulinho. But then Paulinho's 27, I think. So is that really a long-term? You've got Kobe Mainu as well there who can play. So I don't know if it'll be a defensive midfielder. Mason Mount's brought in. He's 24 years old. Bruno Fernandes is going to be there or thereabouts. So I don't know what specific area you're going to get unless you get a bit of a replacement for Bruno Fernandes as a younger one who's 21, 22. Maybe he'll do that. I don't know. But that's interesting, the central midfield bit. And then in attack, I would think another striker. We definitely need another striker. Who they bring in, I don't know, because do you bring in a younger striker with Rasmus, or do you bring in a little bit of an older one, bit more seasoned to compete with Rasmus? That's the question. It's interesting, isn't it? All them players you just mentioned, do you know what is selfish? And I won't go for them, so it's called the gold bonus. Dan Harrington says, I can see Bruno right wing, Eric in the 10. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that, to be fair. When is Luke Shaw back? So it was 10 weeks from, what game did he go out injured? What game was it after? Was it after the Spurs game? Might have been a Spurs game. It said 10 weeks from then. I think Luke Shaw's back November. I think the start of November. So, yeah, 10 weeks. He had like a muscle injury, something like that. Mackie D83 says, I'd go for Tomori, AC Milan, English 2. Very expensive, but Tomori's yeah, I'm a fan of Tomori. How he doesn't get in the England squad, though, I have no idea. It's Gareth Southgate, no idea. But Maguire's got experience, apparently, so he plays over him, which is just absolute nonsense. Full back, I'd go Dumfries. Centre back, Agard from West Ham. Oh, interesting. Kolo Muani. Kolo Muani just moved to PSG, though, Dan. So, yeah, he'll have a new contract. To be hard to get him out of there. And PSG just paid like £80 million, I think, for him, or €80 million. So, I think we struggled to get that. We need a something or two Spurs game. Again, I'm trying to make sense of your comments, Vincent, but I have no idea what's going on there. So, yeah, look, if them targets are legit, who we're looking for, I think it's interesting. I think Samuel Luckhurst always put out there to spin kind of things. A lot of people are talking about the transfer market and how the handling of it was really bad. Outgoings was bad. Amrabat on the last day, I think we signed like 3 or 4 players on the last day, which is just a bit of carnage. It was a scattergun approach from Manchester United. And Samuel Luckhurst is employed to kind of go, right, talk about this. This is the narrative. Take United fans' attention away from this. And that is what he's done. Not with me, because I know this is journalists for you. This is what they do. Another thing that Samuel Luckhurst put out there is Manchester United may release Anthony Martial this summer if his stagnation continues. I mean, it's been 7 years, hasn't it, to be fair? The club are yet to decide if they will trigger the 1-year extension in his contract. I don't know why you would be confused about this. Like, let's be honest. Martial's been here. He signed under Louis van Gaal, didn't he? So 2015-16 was it, I think. It's 2023 now. It's been like 7-8 years he's been at the club. Almost one of the longest serving players at the club, which is madness. He's had one really solid season in the 2019-20 season when he had Greenwood on the right and Rashford on the left. Apart from that, you know, you have to ask yourself the question, it's been a bit of a flop signing, hasn't he? You know, he's had really bad injuries over the past year. When he went out on loan under Ole to Sevilla, didn't do anything at all. Last season, in fairness to him, when he did come in, he did put in numbers and he did get assists. You know, when you look at his conversion rate, it was actually really, really good. But the best, what's that saying now? The best ability is availability, and he is never available. So if we didn't have Rasmus coming in and didn't look like the promising player that he is, I'd be very, very worried, because Martial can't seem to stay fit. I think this is the longest he's stayed fit for God knows how long. He seems to have 30 minutes. I always describe him as your nan's china plates. 30 minutes, smashed, fragile, repair again, sell tape, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. He's so injury prone. You can't rely on a player like that. So Martial should have been sold the summer just gone. But again, with Manchester United players, when we're trying to sell them, the wages that they're on, you're talking like 250 grand a week. Who on the planet is going to spend that kind of money on a Martial when they're not going to get any game time out of it? They're going to get the equivalent of like 7 starts out of him for the full season. That is a very expensive plus a transfer fee as well. Not even mention a transfer fee. If you get 20 million for Martial and then you're paying 250 grand a week, you're talking like nearly a 50 million pound investment on a player who just can't turn up. So, look, we'll probably utilize him at some points this season. You know, he'll be available for some cup games, but he's just never, ever going to be a prolific player for us and a starter for us, the way his injuries are going. So, yeah, you're going to have to cut ties. I think Martial, like a few other players as well, are going to end up going out on a free. Like De Gea did because of his wages. A few others. He will go down the same path as them. I think he'll just stay at United because he's making a massive wage. 1 year left on his contract or 2 years left. 250 grand a week. I'll just sit there and be like, look, I'll play when I'm needed. When I haven't got any niggles or injuries, I'll play. But apart from that, I'm looking to stay at Manchester United. And then he'll probably move to Saudi on a free contract in 2 years' time. That's the way I see it. Because I don't see us getting a fee for him. I really, really don't. So, look, you can already say the summer transfer window shaping up to be interesting, in it. I think January is going to be interesting as well. There's talks about United. The Athletic put this out as well. United going in for Paulinho in January. Nonsense. Utter nonsense. When have we ever spent big in January? The last time I can remember we bought big players at that point was, when was it? Vidic and Evra, was it? As a two in the January. Was Bruno Fernandes bought in January, actually? In fairness. But last season, what was it? Sabitzer on loan, Vegas for 2 mil. You know, the Glazers are skint, so I don't see us spending that amount of money unless it's a McTominay swap deal somewhere on the card. McTominay's probably on more money than Paulinho. That's the funny thing. So, yeah, strange one. Very, very strange one. Do you think Martial will start against Brighton? No. I hope not. I know it sounds bad, but I hope not. He shouldn't be starting. From what I saw from Rasmus Højlund in that 30-minute cameo against Arsenal, he's shown more in that game than Martial did for a long, long time. Like his physicality, the pace that he had, the link-up play, the little flick for the Garnacho goal. I think he's going to be a promising player. I think he should start. No doubt in my mind. Brighton are going to be starting one of their young stars up top, Evan Ferguson. I think we should play Rasmus. Definitely. But I don't know if he will or not. Like I said, Ten Hag's a bit weird with selection. Plays it safe sometimes. So, yeah. Bruno Fernandes was January. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah. I agree. Just hope Ten Hag doesn't play Martial. Agreed. Big up everyone in the Instagram, by the way. Make sure you drop us a follow on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. I think we're only 7 subs off 3,000. I can't remember. I've lost track of what subs we're on. I think we're 7 subs off 3,350. So if you haven't subscribed yet, if you're watching live or watching later on, please do. We'll be live again at 7 o'clock. So make sure you tune in for that. Get your questions in, comments. And when we do go live, there's lots of stuff breaking about Manchester United at the minute, more and more. I think Mike Phelan's just given an interview on Ronaldo and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Ragnick as well. So I'll leave a couple of them quotes for the show later and we'll talk about that. Plus other bits. It's Tuesday. We've got the Brighton preview on Friday. We've got a guest on Thursday and we're working on 2 guests as well. Jay from Stratford Paddock and James from the Muppeteers as well to talk to him about this transfer situation and a load of other stuff. So make sure you stay locked in. Leave a like on the video for us. Subscribe to the channel. Remember the video that I mentioned yesterday. I've done a video on the Glazers, 18 years of neglect. It's halfway edited. It's nearly done. So that probably will be dropping tomorrow night. So keep an eye out for that. Please show your love and support and be dropping the message. Drop a comment on that video. Brian Casey saying, will you be watching the Scotland versus England friendly tonight? Should be an interesting one. I will be watching. To be honest, I don't like watching England. I think they're boring. And I've just lost full faith in them. But England against Scotland, I think probably deserves a watch. And because there's been no football, I've been starved of live football. So I probably will be watching it, Brian. Yeah. And yeah, look, if anything breaks in between, make sure you turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. I'll go live, trust me, as soon as it happens. So keep an eye on the YouTube, keep an eye on the socials, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Yeah. Take care. Peace. In a bit, boys.